Hi everyone, welcome back to A Rose in Bloom. I'm so excited for today's episode, and it's the last one of the season. So we're gonna get into it today. So the topic today is the importance of community. And as you can see here, I have two guests with me. We have Kennedy and Damaris. And they're gonna be speaking alongside me with the aspect and topic of community. So let's jump in. Alrighty, so like I mentioned, we have our guests here, Kennedy and Damaris. So who they are to me, they are my they're my friends first and foremost, right? They're my friends. Well, they also happen to be my small group leaders. So kind of like Arnell in past episodes. Damaris and Kennedy, we were all part of one, and then we split. So Damaris technically isn't my small group leader anymore. Kennedy is. But you get the gist. And I really brought them on today because I think their point of views with community is very relatable. So with Ken, she actually grew up right in the church. Mm-hmm. Was around the church that we all go to now, and kind of just stepped into community later on in life. And then Damaris here actually moved states. Like she came here for school, and then found church, and then got into community that way. And so I just figured those point of views are very relatable. And for me, raised in the church, had community, went to school, had community, graduated, and was like, I need to be in community because that's been it for me. And so we all have different point of views. So I just wanted to talk to y'all about it and see if you had any insights for those who want to find community themselves, are scared to. So a little bit about community on my end. I just believe that your company calibrates you and it determines who you are, right? So when I was speaking to some youth a few weeks ago, they're about like 15 to 20, so like middle school, high school, and college, I was talking again about community, but I brought up the point that the people you have around you have the ability to shape your mindset, behaviors, and beliefs. And then 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, "Bad company corrupts good character." And when I was younger, my mom very much was like, "Be careful who you hang around," and all this stuff. And I just remember being like, "You're doing the most. Like, this is very annoying. Like, all of these people also, right, and their parents. We go to church with them. So, like, like, what are you trying to say, But then as I've gotten older, through various aspects of my life, not even just like faith, it's just like, I really need to be careful who I have around me. Yeah. There's that aspect of guilty by association, right? So you can be cutting up with your friends, or you're not even cutting up, but because they cut up, people automatically assume you do, right? Mm-hmm. So what's that? Birds of a feather flock together. Yeah, that euphemism. But then it's also, they have that, I think it's a statistic, and it's like you're the average of your 4 friends. Something like that, right? Yeah. So the people you have around you, they calibrate you. They determine who you're going to be. And people like to act like things don't influence them, right? And I touched on that last episode with my music. But like the friends that you have around you will definitely influence you, either positively or negatively, right? And the Bible is infallible, so of course it says something about it, right? Bad company corrupts good character. But then when you look at it from the Christian point of view, Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 talks about 2 are better than 1, right? Because they have good return for their labor, and like 2 is better than 1 in keeping warm, like all these other things. But at the gist is that things get done when there's more than just you, right? And so when you think of growing your faith, or reading your Bible, or becoming even who God needs you to be, right? It's like, you cannot do any of that alone. And we're not called to do any of that alone. Right? So, yeah, I just think from growing up and, like, recognizing lessons and the things that I've been through, it's like, oh, community is very important to me. And so when I basically decided to, like, make Jesus Lord last September and coming to Grace, I was like, I need to find community. Like, point blank period. I knew that apart from finding a home church, that was my next step. I need to be around people who are like-minded, right? I'm not trying to live the lukewarm lifestyle no more. And I need to find people who also are not. People who are running towards God at the same pace or even faster than I am, so I can be inspired and learn. So yeah, that's why community is important to me, but why is it important to either of y'all?
I think community is important to me, especially Christian community, because like you said, there are people who are walking through the same thing as you, and you're looking to the same God or the same person who has a solution to your problems. I think I think back to pre-Christian community, I guess, and where like you're with your friends and like something bad happens, right? And they're like, okay, like, yeah, we're praying for you, we care about you. But it's like, if I come to my Christian community and tell someone say that something bad has happened to me, it's like, oh, we're going to war. We're fasting. Get on the phone. We're doing prayer. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we handle, you're covered at all times, and you handle situations in completely different ways than like outside community does. And so knowing that I have that covering, like in addition to obviously God being my covering, right? It makes me live my life differently, to be honest. Yeah.
It's not like I'll pray for you. It's like, no, let's pray right now.
Yeah.
Like,
right
now, we're going to pray for you.
Yes.
In the group. I also think it's important because, church is once a week. And we live our lives 7 days a week, 24/7. So you can go Sunday, you can go Wednesday, but you need that community every single day. You need those people in your life every day, not just once and twice a week. And I think it's important just to have people to have your back on different things and to have the same views on it as well. I think, yes, you have friends, but you have community also. And I think they're two different things as well, because your community, like, they know Jesus, they know prayer, they know their Bible, and that's what's really going to build you up and what's going to, keep you going, and not just your own thoughts and your own strength as well.
Yeah, it's really good. That aspect of covering and then living your life 24/7 is so, like, it's so real. And I bring up, a situation I had with Maddie, actually. She's right here. But I remember, I took my LSAT and I didn't get the score that I wanted. And I was like, okay, 1 month turnaround, like, I'm going to take it in June, right? And I was talking to another friend and I was like, you know what, let me call Maddie, because Maddie just embodies wisdom. Like, shout out to the Holy Spirit for that. And I didn't even realize, like, how stressed I was in trying to plan to take it, like, within a month, right? And I called her and I was like, hey, so, like, this is the gist, like, this is what's happening. What do you think I should do? And everything in me knew, girl, delay this joint.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot do this. You have so much going on in the month of May. And Maddie was the first person that came up, because I was like, you know what? Apart from, like, giving me the real, she's also going to give me, like, the spiritual aspect, right? Of, like, what I could be going through or walking through. And I kid you not, like, within, like, 10 minutes, she was like, do not take this, like, wait, delay it. And also, you be stressing yourself out. Like, anxiety, we're not called to walk in this anxiety and all these things. And it was, like, by the end of the conversation, I was like, yeah. She's right. That's what I needed.
And sometimes you do need that second opinion to step in and be like, because if you were in it alone, you would have taken it.
Yeah, and I would have failed.
You would have feared yourself for taking it, right?
I would have failed.
just that like second voice that's like, hey, this is what I no.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't, you know? Yeah.
Having people that know when to not agree with you.
Oh,
yeah.
very
Oh.
important.
Yes.
And
Yes.
especially when they read you with the word,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, because, you know, we know that the Bible's a two-edged sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you could be thinking this thing, and then you'll have a friend within, like, Christian community that's like, cool, but what does the Bible say about that?
Yeah.
You know? And you're like, dang, you're right.
Yeah.
You know? I think I saw a TikTok, and it was like when you're going through heartbreak and your worldly friends are like, you're the baddest. Like, it's okay. Like, you good. And the person's like, I don't need to hear that I'm the baddest beat. I need to be pointed back to the word.
No.
You know? I was like, that is real.
Right.
That is so real. Because I don't need to hear that. I need to hear you're not called to walk in fear.
Right.
You know, I need to hear don't be using things as a distraction. Like, get it together. So yeah, this is really good. So when you guys think about values, right? What do you think someone searching for community should look for? And do you have like any examples of values in your life that you look for in community?
I think it's important that people are vulnerable.
Mm.
I think vulnerability is something that doesn't necessarily come natural to me. It's something that I have to open up to you about, and I have to, you know, trust you in that. So it's something that I've learned from having community, how important that is, because if you're holding back things that you're going through, people will never know, and they won't know how to support you in those ways. And so in those moments, you will be struggling by yourself until you choose to open up to other people. So I think, vulnerability is just really important. It's something that I've learned along the way, because it's not something that I'm used to doing, for sure.
Yeah.
That's so funny that you bring that up. I had a friend call me out the other day. Like, I was asking her, I had someone who, like, I had asked to be my mentor or whatever, and, like, she, like, I felt like I wasn't having that relationship the way I had wanted it to, and she was like, well, have you given her a reason to, like, want to be your mentor? Like, have you shared with her, like, what your day-to-day, like, have you even, and she was like, you're not vulnerable enough. Like, when there's a problem, you're like, well, no, they don't need to solve it. And I said, oh, okay. You're right, because I always want to do it myself.
Right.
Like, it's really hard to be vulnerable, and that is totally something that's so important. Is like, can I trust you?
Right.
And like, I could have.
Yeah.
But I was just choosing to hold it all in.
Yeah.
And here I am.
That's really good. Yeah, vulnerability is very hard for me. I'd be like, I'm gonna do this by myself. Yeah. And then it's like, why? I'm not supposed to.
Oh, I think you did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I mean, this is the fruit.
That is very, very true. That is true. You know, thank you, Holy Spirit. You got me there. That's good value. Vulnerability. Yeah.
I was gonna say mine. I was thinking authenticity. That was like the first thing that came to mind, and it's like the same kind of thing. Like people who you can really be yourself with. And when I think about it, I'm like, when I first meet people, I am not 100% myself. Like I am very much like, I'm feeling this out.
Yes.
And then then I see how you act, and I'm like, okay, here's a little more. Here's a little more. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I can be me. Yeah. And so like just seeing that, like I think I'm very observant, and so seeing how people like act first, I'm like, okay, you're being authentic, you're bringing yourself to the table, and that like allows me to be more authentic in myself. But I think that authenticity 100%, like no fake people.
That's good. I mean that's real. Especially when it comes to like your walk with Christ. Again, we're not supposed to do it alone, and you don't know who's going through the same thing that you're going through. Right? And so if you're fake, and again, Jesus glitter, just, it's going to be okay, it's fine, like, can I just pray about it? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much going on, and you need to be authentic about it.
I feel like also that goes with, like, judging.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that will make me close up immediately and not want to share it all. If I feel judged, So I think that's a
so
good
true.
gauge.
That's good too. Actually, now I think about it. But like situations like that, and I know I'm working on it myself, but sometimes it's like, okay, make sure I'm not judging either. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, God gives us so much grace and mercy, right? And I mean, He is the judge. We know that, right? Yeah. And I think I touched on that on another episode. it's not all just Jesus' love and rainbows. Like this, God is everything. Okay, it's not just soft all the time, but it's like He judges us righteously, right? And so actually, now that I think about it, it might not be a core value for me, but like being judged righteously instead of just being judged to like be judged.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like I can go to people within my Christian community and they'll tell me about myself per se, and they'll point me back to the word like, hey, you know what, you're not really acting righteous right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I know it's not judgment. You know, they care about me, they love me, and they're pointing me back to the thing that's ultimately going to get me right.
Accountability.
And accountability, right? Instead of it just being like, girl, you know, feel like I love it. What?
No, absolutely.
That's good. Yeah, accountability too.
Yeah.
That's really good. And that's actually something I've been working on this year, and it's been hard.
It is hard. Once again, going back to like putting your business out there, it's hard to be like, okay, like I struggle with this, and now I need you to like call me out, basically, and tell me when you see that pattern, or like help point me back to the word when I tell you that I'm going through this. It's not easy.
Not at all.
But that's like community now.
That's what matters for real. And you know, with that, I think it's also very important to pray and ask the Lord to bring you community that will benefit you. Yeah. Does that make sense? I think people, and like me included, just like walk into it and it's like, oh, this is going to be a breeze, right? But then it's like, hold on. So-and-so's personality, for real, might not mesh with mine. And that's okay, right? People are different. But you'll get into a situation like that, and for some people it might be like, oh, community's not for me. Like, this is, you know, they're this and that. But they just don't vibe with your personality or who you are. And so, like, in that, asking the Lord, like, hey, God, these are the things that I value. These are the things that I want in community. I'm asking you to partner alongside with me and help me find this, you know? And I tell people all the time, actually, I think, like, it's not even lucked out. It was a blessing. It was ordained. Like, the fact that I found people that I really, like, vibe with and, like, could talk to daily and even, like, be, like, and, like, Damaris and Maddie know, like, I need accountability with certain things, and never in a million years did I think I would put them in a group chat and be like, hey, I know we just met like 4 or 5 minutes ago, but this is what I struggle with, and here's my location, and I'm gonna just be hitting you up, and they be, you good? You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for someone like me who really used to be like, no new friends, like ride or dies, like I'm a tribe person, like I don't, you know, all that stuff. Praying and asking the Lord and for Him to deliver, like, in more ways than one, I'm still, like, in shock. It hasn't even been a year since I've known all y'all.
That's crazy.
Like, actually. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yeah, God, you did that. Because I was really stressed.
Hasn't a year?
No.
She's
in September.
Like September,
Whoa.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane?
Like,
whoa.
Yeah, literally. This time last year, I was like, dang, I need to find a church. Like, I need my community.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, girl.
It feels like it's been 5 years.
Literally, yeah.
The way we move.
So yeah, just like asking God to help you alongside that process. Because, I mean, for real, if He can do it for me, He can do it for you. Right? Like, and again, more ways than one.
Yeah, no, I think the prayer thing is big because I was the same way. Like, moving out here, I was like, this is what I need. I need a church and I need community. And like, I was very specific. Sometimes I'd be praying to God and like, not testing it. Well, you know, I was like very specific. Like, I literally said, I need my church to be 15 minutes or less away from my home. I was 12 minutes from Grace. Yes.
Are you serious?
Because I'm not going to wake up on Sunday morning.
You knew yourself. You knew yourself well.
You know what's about to expose you. Hey. Because you live 12 minutes from Grace, huh? It was 12 minutes from church.
Don't move or else you'll be 16.
No, but it'll still be 30. Hey, it'll still be 30 minutes later.
No, that's not true. After the first song I'm there. That's not 30 minutes later. It's like 3. I was very specific. I was like, yeah, like, this is what I need. Like, because I know myself, like, Sunday morning, like, if it's a 30-minute drive, like, and there were a lot of great churches that I found, but just weren't in that radius.
Yeah.
And I said 15 minutes or less, like, that's what it's going to be. And then I, like, stumbled upon Grace, and I was like, okay, now that I'm here, this church is huge.
Yeah.
How many 500 people?
Yeah.
And then, like, 2 Sundays later, it was small group Sunday.
Mm.
Like, it was just so God ordained. Like, anytime I talk about, like, my story at Grace, I'm like, it was no one but God. Like,
Wow.
I'm really there for a reason. And, like, even finding the community and, like, getting to know the girls and then, like, being called up to be a small group leader, it's just been like, okay, I see you.
Yeah.
I see what happens when I pray. Like, it works.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
good too. Yeah, being obedient. No, that's so good.
Very much so. I think it's also a good value to have when you're in community, but you have people that are different from you and stronger in areas where you could be weak in. I know for me, like, being vulnerable, again, was one of my struggles when first starting being in small group and seeing other girls in my group being vulnerable and, like, speaking out when, you know, I was just sitting there being quiet at first, but then, like, seeing other people do it made me want to do it and made me want to be stronger in that. So I think it's really cool seeing people be strong in areas where you not necessarily are weak, but maybe in areas where you don't step out in.
Yeah.
Because you see the strength in them and how it could be in you as well.
That's so good.
And I think it also begins to transform you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure in your experience, like, the more you speak out and the more you... And you're also encouraging someone else. Like, it's literally just, like, the cycle of, like...
Absolutely.
But,
yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Well, you know how they say, like, if you walk into a room and you're, like, the smartest person there, it's a problem?
Yeah.
Like, have you seen that? And it's, like, it just encourages people to, like, be in rooms where people are not at your level, per se, or, like, higher. And actually, I guess that's what I was alluding to when I said people who have made Jesus their Lord and are running towards him, but sometimes even faster than I am, right? Because I can look to them and I'm like, oh, like, it can happen for me too.
Absolutely.
Or that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
You know? So that's really good. As well,
Yeah.
actually. I never,
What
like,
quality
really
do
thought
they
about
have that
Yeah.
maybe I admire,
Right.
and you see it happening, and you see it working in someone else, and
That's really
it
good.
just helps you.
Well, that's really good. I didn't think about that. Are there any other values that you guys think?
People who can hold you accountable. And that goes, like, that just feeds back into what we were talking about. But I think that just being able to, like, present yourself as it is and have someone be, like, keeping you in check.
Yeah.
Like, that has helped me tremendously. So.
I feel like people, it's easy to get upset at someone for keeping you in check, for
Yeah.
sure. So I think it helps you rework yourself too, and to knowing, like, I asked him to do that,
Right.
so
No,
I can't get mad at you for doing that. What I asked you to do to help me.
Yeah.
So
That's good. And I think even with that accountability aspect, there's a lot of trust that comes into that too.
definitely,
Right? It's like, okay, so this is what I'm struggling with, or like, this is what I need. And putting your trust in that person to, like, hold you accountable and do what they feel needs to be done as well to help you. I think, I mean, and that's honestly, that's the human experience, like choosing or discerning who to trust, right? With certain things.
Yeah.
Right. And then y'all talk about what actually helps to keep you accountable and whatnot. I think that's really good too.
Yeah. Like you said, like, different friends serve different purposes.
Yeah.
So
I think once I understood that, the way I even approached friendship and community was different. Because I think for the longest time, like, everyone's together as one happy circle. I'm like, this does not work.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And just being like, oh, and even learning that, like, people in your life for a season too, like that as well is like, okay, like sometimes,
That's tough.
you know, like college friends,
tough.
that's like what it always comes back to for me. Because it's just like, okay, in college, like, we were tight, but like now that I'm in this different season of my life, I can't do what I used to do or be with you the way I used to be with you. Like, I need to step into that, and either you recognize that or you don't. And it's not that I don't like you. It's not that I don't love, like, it's just, we gotta go our separate ways. I'll still check up on you. I'll still do what I have to do, but understand, like, the trajectory I have for my life may not align with yours.
Right.
And so
Right.
I gotta be okay with stepping out on that.
Wow. Yeah. That's so good. I think that's probably one of the hardest things I've had to face in the past year. I'm not going to say, like, my transformation was, like, overnight. But the transformation from, oh, yeah, I'm a Christian, right? Gave my life to Christ when I was 13. I'm a Christian and, like, I'm doing this thing to, like, oh, I made Jesus Lord. And it to me, it low-key felt automatic. Like, things switched up. Things changed. Even though I know it didn't. And maybe that's just, like, how I feel other people perceive me as well. Right? Because it was, like, all of a sudden, Belinda's not going to the clubs. Like, Belinda's not going to the lounges with us, you know? Or, you know, she's not coming out anymore. She's not speaking a certain way or, like, doing things, right? And it's, like, people in my life knew that I was a Christian before, right? So it wasn't like, oh, she just found Jesus. Like, it was like, Belinda's always have been Christian, you know? Everybody knows that. But, like, they can tell something is different now. Yeah. And the hardest thing for me was, how do I manage my friendships? Because I don't want it to seem like I'm holier than thou.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Or I'm leaving you in the dust. Because I'm really not.
Yeah.
But it's like, I just need people who are also in the same space. Yeah. And learning, and even learning, like, telling myself now, like, it's okay for you to feel that way. It's okay for you to need that, you know, instead of just like, oh, I'm going to feel bad for them, like, for me not being around and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
No, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
For sure.
That was a good point. It is real. I was like, this is too real for me, child. I'm like, why did I feel like... I was like, I'm not dropping anybody, I promise.
Yeah. And it's hard to have that conversation. Like, that conversation is always...
Girl. Child.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. It's not going to be the same no more.
No, it isn't.
And it's okay. So for anybody, like, that's okay.
Very much.
You know, if you're going through that, like, it's okay.
You are not alone.
At all. At all. And honestly, I would say it's normal.
Oh, yeah.
You know, not even in the Christian space. Like, people get married, right? And then it's like, do I, you know, stay in a relationship with my single friends? And then, like, then you have kids. Yeah. And it's like,
so many
transitions, right? And so it's like, it's normal. And especially at this point of our lives, like, young adults, with, like, 20 to, like, 30, maybe even older, it's like, so many things are changing all the time.
Every day.
Something's it's like, nobody told me this.
No.
Okay, yeah, thank you for those values. I think those are definitely relatable. What, to y'all, though, are 3 things that make good community? And explain why.
I feel like it kind of relates to the other question.
Okay.
I think definitely vulnerability. I think people who won't just sign off on what you say.
Yeah.
Accountability, kind of. Who will tell you when you're wrong and kind of tell you when you're wrong, but also, like, help you in the same way. So I think vulnerability, people will tell you when you're wrong, and also people who would encourage you. I think that's very, very important because I feel like a lot of people need that and they don't have it. So encouragement, maybe, like, if you're going through something, like, people are there to help you carry your burdens.
Yeah.
And that you're not carrying them alone. People who stand by you and help you and walk with you side by side. It's really important.
Yeah. That's really good. That aspect of, like, encouragement, I think that's so real because we can very much get to a point where it's like, okay, well, the Bible says this, so
so be it.
So you know, but it's like, this is actually really hard.
Yeah.
Actually, so I'm in the book of Job right now, and man's going through it. But I've kind of been having trouble with the aspect of, well, for me, I feel like Job had, like, trash friends, right? With the way that they were, like, coming at him. Definitely. But then it's also, like, the juxtaposition of before, like, they were going back and forth. It literally said that they came and sat with him for 7 days in silence.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, sometimes that's what you need. Right? Especially in a situation like that, child, I would not know what to say. I lost everything. Like just, sitting there.
Yeah.
But then it turns into, I mean, and I guess I get it. I don't like really sympathize with the friends, but it's like your friend, something's happened to your friend, and religion and everything at the time says you did something against God.
Yeah.
Right? You did it. And Joe was like, I didn't do nothing. I'm proud. And his friends was like, bro, you did something.
Yeah.
Like, let's be
Something
real.
had to
Something
happen.
happened. And it's like 10 plus chapters, I guess, of just back and forth.
Yes.
And I'm just like, this is so much. Like, and of course, from the outside, I'm like, Joe, we know you didn't do nothing. Your friend's trash.
Right.
I'm trying to tell you that you did, but it's like, understanding the context and the religion behind all of this, like, that's what they knew at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, shout out to Joe for maintaining his, his innocence. But then that aspect of, well, you did something wrong in God's eyes, so you need to fix it.
Yeah.
Right? And Job was literally like, you guys are trash. Like, you guys don't think that I'm as wise as you guys, or like, know what's going on, and like, you guys say all these things against me, and it's like, no. Job just needed encouragement.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
He needed people to
He
walk
need-
with him.
So, touch on the nerves.
Yes. I think that criticism needs to come with encouragement. Like, I don't think that you should be able to just, I tell my students this all the time, like, you can't just say something is bad. Okay, thank you, I know. Now tell me, why do you think it's bad? And tell me what's one way I can improve.
Wow.
Like, people are so quick to judgment. Bye.
Yeah.
But like, if you know so much better than I do, then help me through that.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yo, that is
That's
good.
Like, because that really, it makes me bad when people just people just say things. And I'm like, okay, but now that person doesn't know how to, like, what if they don't know more? Like, help them.
Yeah.
Because you stated the thing, you noticed the thing, help them walk through it.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than just being able to critique. Like, you also need to be able to help them grow through that. I
Wow.
think that's
So
Child,
good.
this is what I was saying. Community be reading you, because I needed that. I'm like, God, forgive me for the way I've treated some people, for real.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily like judgment, but I'm just like, you got nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, you got it. I told you what's wrong.
Yeah, so go fix it.
Yeah.
But don't you see me drowning in this? Like,
Yeah.
so someone needs to pull me out.
Yeah.
So, is that not you? Like,
Dang.
That's so good.
That's really good. Yeah, I don't take criticism well. I'm gonna keep it there. It's very hard for me, and I'm learning too. But like, if you come at me, I'm like,
too.
I'm not
I
talking
got
to you
guns
again.
blazing.
Well, yeah.
do you think though it's the way that people criticize though? Because I used to feel the same way, but I've learned it's a certain type of criticism that I don't take well. Like when you are just throwing stuff and hitting stuff. Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but like coming to me and being like, well, I noticed, like, very calmly, like,
Yes.
maybe this wasn't the right way to go about this. Or,
Yes.
like, so do you think it's the way people
Absolutely.
criticize?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's probably, this is the way.
100%. If you come at me like guns blazing, I'm gonna get defensive.
Yeah.
I'm coming right back at
Right.
you. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or
I'm gonna
let
say
me walk.
something about you that you might not be doing right.
Right.
Because I'm trying to like defend myself
Right.
because you're coming at me. But I think it's important the way that you speak to someone and how you say it. I think it always said, like, it's a saying, like, what you say matters, but how you say it also matters. So I think it's the way that you come at someone or how you're speaking to someone.
Yo, there's
It's
literally
how you take it.
Y'all keep talking. That verse literally just came to mind. The verse literally came to mind. I just don't know what it is.
Okay.
But I think we're talking about 3 things that like make good community. A lot of mine are similar to yours, Kennedy, but like accountability, I think that's huge when it comes to community. People who know how to push you and challenge you, and like I think it's so important that you don't have people who just say yes to every idea that you have, because there's a lot of ideas I have that like should not be done. And so I think it's good to have, like, I think we love to be near people who are similar to us, but I think it's really important to have people who are different to us to come and like step in and challenge you and be like, well, I know you think of it that way, but like here's my way of thinking of it. Would you try this way, or do you think that this may work for you too? Or even just being like, a different perspective, point of view. And then just like people who have a mutual respect for everyone's journey. I think that walking into something like small group where we know we are all at different levels in our relationship with Christ, and knowing that regardless, like, you're here for a reason, and the fact that you're just here for this reason, I'm proud of you, and like there's no judgment behind that.
That's good.
I think that I just think that's important.
For sure.
That's really good. Well, the verse that came up was Proverbs 15:1, and it says, "A soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Right, and so it's definitely like it's how you say things.
Yeah.
100%. And then what was your second point about different perspectives? That's really good, super good. And like the political side of me is like, but we live in such a polarized world, right? Where, and even forget politics, like even within the Christian community, it's like, well, this is right and you're wrong, and like, well, this is right and you're wrong, but like that mutual respect you were saying for like everybody's journeys and thought processes and whatnot. But then also in that, also being able to say like, oh no, like this is not just like you're wrong because this is what it says.
Yeah.
You know, like this pointing back to work, right? But that's really good. That's good. Like, especially like the truth, like telling people, not being a yes man and like telling people the truth. I've also recognized in my life, and I didn't realize this, but it's like hard for me to tell people the truth, per se, about not like telling people about themselves, but like if the Holy Spirit's like, oh, like maybe you should like give them some insight into like why this may be wrong, or even like why this may be right. Because I'm someone that doesn't take criticism well, I automatically assume that they're gonna take what I say as bad, and so sometimes I'm just like, yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
But it's like, you know, and I think, I mean, it's definitely something I have to work through myself, but it's like telling people the truth is hard for me because I need to learn how to take the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfortable with the
harsh.
truth. Yeah.
I agree with that.
So,
Really.
yeah, I think that's a good value or a good thing in community. I just need to learn how to show up in that way as well.
Yeah.
Before I can start expecting that from others, I feel, for me.
I think one big thing I've just been like praying about is like a lot, like, don't let it come from me. Holy Spirit, let it come from you. Like, you say it the way that you know will reach the person best.
Yeah.
Because like if I say it, I might offend. I might end up feeding whatever it is. Like, there's so many ways that me as a human, as flesh, can get it wrong. But like, I know if it comes from you, then it's gonna be the right way that person needs to hear it. So just once again, going down, and be like, this is it. Now take over and step in.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. Yeah, because obviously the Holy Spirit is going to say it in a way that they understand.
Yeah.
Compared to just your own voice and your
opinion
and bias and all that stuff that could come into it. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah. That takes a lot of intentionality too, right? And I mean, I know we all go to church and whatnot. Pastors will always say, like, before they start the sermon, like, Lord, speak through me, right? And don't let it just be me.
Yeah.
Because we know how easy it is for our opinions and whatnot to just get into things. But, like, Holy Spirit, you speak, because anything can come out of this mouth. Like, it might not glorify you. It might not glorify you, and I need to glorify you. So.
Yes.
Might not, probably won't.
For real. Oh, child. Well, on that note, what are some advantages of community that you all think people need? And like specifically, I'll say in this point, well, you can go broad. In general, like what are some advantages of community? And then if you want to speak to it specifically for women, because I genuinely do think community for women is different from community from men. Like, I think there are just different needs that need to be met.
Yeah.
Within those. So.
I think the advantage of community is that, like, we know that life is not meant to be lived alone.
Yeah.
Like, these are people who are walking by your side, seeing, if not like your day to day, but like seeing your life as you go by and just being able to step in the moments that you need them. We talked about how like dealing with things on your own is very difficult. Well, guess what? Like when you're in community, you don't have to deal with it alone. I can come to you with my problems. I can come to you in the highs. I can come to you in the lows. You're right with me when I'm in the middle. And it's just like knowing that no matter where I am, I have someone to turn to and walk through this with me is a huge advantage. Like
that's good. Yeah,
we've said it, 2 is better than 1.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's also a good point to make that a lot of young women have not problems, but difficulties finding friends once you leave college and once you're in that middle 20s age. Even if it's just like you want to meet a new friend, where or you want someone to go to coffee with, but who?
Yeah.
So I think just knowing that you have a group of women my age, your age, who want to do the same thing as you and who have the same foundations as you. So you're kind of walking together, maybe at different paths, maybe at different stages, but you're walking on the same road, if that makes sense.
That's a good analogy. Come on, Kennedy.
But yeah, I think that's really important because I know for me I struggled with finding new friends after college. I came back home and I still have my friends from high school and I still have that, but sometimes you need newness, you need freshness, and you want new people in your life, and that's where I found you guys. So yeah, community definitely helped me with that. And it's nice to have, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, what for me, it's just like-minded people. And I'm someone that tends to be very like all work and no play, and I need to work on that. But when I think about my walk with Christ, I'm like, it needs to be serious. Point blank period. Like I don't, and I need to give myself and other people grace for it as well, because everybody falls short of the glory of God. But it's like, like I was saying earlier, like, I mean, I definitely lived the lukewarm lifestyle. Like, it happened. And I feel like honestly sometimes it can still like I'm not perfect, right? But it's like, like I need to be around people who are serious. And like that's just me. That's where I'm at right now.
I feel like the difference is what's at stake. Like
that's true.
When you choose to do it seriously, like we all know what the end goal is,
right?
And so for someone who's not taking it seriously, it's like, so do you care about heaven? Like, do you want to be up there dancing?
Okay, because me and David, we could be up there in the studio.
You hear well done. Well done
or not.
So when you know it's at stake, you will walk with it completely different than you have in the past. Because I could say like, I knew God in the past, and lukewarm. Like talking about lukewarm, I know all about that, right? But it's like, no, when you really sit down and get to know God for like who He is, it's like, well, I know that I'm not trying to be where I was back then. So like, I know what my goal is, and so I'm going to do this with all seriousness. And like you said, we all fall short, and there's grace for that. Thank you, Jesus. But it's a challenge. But I think when you, like, I keep saying the same thing, but like when you know what the goal is, like whatever the challenge is, you make time and you try to get there. So.
That's actually really good. I don't know who I was talking to, but I was telling somebody that I'm not like out here like on the streets like Jesus, right? Like I'm not with the sign like I'm not. That's not Belinda. You know, if the Holy Spirit calls me to, sure, but that's not where I'm at right now. Right? I'm gonna be obedient if it needs to be. But I definitely wake up with a sense of urgency now, if that makes sense. It's like there are people who need to experience a level of freedom that I'm living in, right? There are people who need hope, right? There are people who need a father because they are fatherless, right? There are people who need to know that there's someone out there that loves them. There's someone out there that, not even someone, a God out there that loves them. A God who's willing to help them carry their burdens, right? And because for so long, I didn't feel any of that, right? And it's like, now I have that, right? And for people to notice that, oh, there's been a visible shift, right, in who Belinda used to be or who Belinda is now and whatnot. It's like, it's because of Jesus, right? And so it's like, I wake up and like, it might not like be immediate, right? Yeah. But like, even when I think about this podcast coming to life, right? In the first episode that I did this season, I talked about how God gave me this idea in like 2017, and it's always been at the back of my mind, right? But I've kind of just going through life, honestly. It feels like I feel like I had to experience some things first before getting to this point, you know? But this literally came to life and like in its fullness that we're here now at the last episode of the season, because some of us were in a group chat from small group, and of course, because Maddie, she literally one day in the group chat was like, dang, like, I feel like we should, like, film, or, like, there should be a podcast about the stuff that we're going through right now. Wow. And I literally, like, I'm getting tingles again, because it was right before small group, and my blood literally ran cold. Wow. Because God was like, I told you to do this a long time ago. And look at, like, where you're at now. Yeah. Right? People need this, right? People need what I've been telling you to do for all these years. And I was shook because I was like, oh, I don't know these people. Like, I don't, you know, and at first I was like, oh, like, I have this idea and whatnot. Like, this is, you know, and then literally I was like, yeah, like, I'll share a small group. And the Holy Spirit was like, false. This is not everybody needs, this is what I called you to do. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? But literally, go ahead and share it with Maddie. Wow. Like, that was, and literally apart from, I feel like Theo, my mentor, was like the only person who knew a little bit about it. But literally, Maddie is the first person that knew about this podcast and everything that was going to be, right? And even in that, in God developing our friendship and just literally going to small group at the same time. And I didn't even know that. I thought Maddie, like, was part of Grace for, like, a long time. She acted like it. Yeah, because she know everybody. She know everything. And it's her. But only to find out we joined small group at the same time, right? And for the Holy Spirit to reveal, like, she's supposed to walk this journey with you, right? And you're not supposed to do it alone. Because I really was like, all right, fine, I'll do the podcast, but, like, I guess I'm gonna have to do it alone, right? And for all these components to come together, Maddie and how God has worked in her life, and the skills that she had. Listen, there was not about to be no film. I was like, I'm not doing this, right? And I don't want to. Actually, let's be real. I was like, I don't want to. And Maddie was like, we need to do film. And I was like, girl, I'm not doing that. For the Holy Spirit, literally 3 years later, to be like, you're doing film. And like, that's why Maddie is. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to develop into other things, right? Yeah. But it's like, without that moment in the group chat, and without, honestly, being at Grace at the right time and the right place to even meet people who are like, oh, this is a need, right? And it's not really being filled. And then even in that, for this girl that I don't know from Adam to literally, like, being one of my best friends and helping me walk through this, right? It's like, hey, bruh, you knew what she was doing, for real.
She even has expertise in what she's doing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she's doing it for free. Yeah. For now. But it's like, wow. Like, all, like, even for my life, like, this is the advantage period, right? Doing what God's called you to do. Because you have people backing you, you have people walking alongside of you, you have people to complain to if you want to, and all that stuff. Like, this is what community is about. That's the advantage, you know? Yes. That's the word. Thank you, God. Yeah. Thank you. Literally, thank you, God. But yeah. So I guess the last question before we wrap things up. How has community affected your individual walks with Christ?
I think for me, it has made it a lot stronger than what it was when I first started. I have grown up in church all my life, but it took me to a point to join community because for a long time I didn't know what that was. I heard it being talked about, and you have one thing flow through one ear and out the other. You're not engaged, it's not clicking. And then I don't say it was just one day where it just snapped, but I think it was intentional from the Lord to make me hear it one day and to make me want to join the community. So I think just being around a group of women who are doing the same things as me and who are being vulnerable and who are praying, and I'm seeing these prayers come to fruition and seeing these things that God is doing and moving in their lives. It made me realize, like, wow, he can do that in my life too.
Facts.
And I know that he has been faithful to them and he will be faithful to me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's made a really big difference. These praise reports and these prayer requests, they're important. And I'm reminded of the stones of remembrance. Not only for myself, but for other people who have gone through things and like have made it out on the other side. It's such an encouragement, and it's such just faith building for me, that I can walk faithfully with the Lord, knowing that he has done something for someone else that he can also do for me as well.
Yeah. So that's so good.
Yeah.
The testimonies are a big one for sure. It was like the amount of times, like even like you, Belinda, like you sharing your testimony of like JMU and all that. Like I'm like sitting there like in tears for you, and that was like the third time I'm here, and I'm crying because of her. I was like, who is she?
Every time, like you could tell it right now, and I literally have like a tear.
But I remember hearing that, and I was like, wow. And like that was towards the beginning of small group, and I was like, God's about to move. Like just like even. I was like, oh, I can't wait. And the testimonies that have been shared, like semester after semester, it's just amazing to see what God does when women get together and pray.
Yeah. Come on.
It's powerful. It's so powerful. Very. But in my own walk, like being in community has really just pushed me to like not stop seeking God. I think that there's moments in my life where I'm like, oh, God, I can't hear you, so I'm going to just step away. And I feel like going to small group being a weekly occurrence and like now leading like forces me to like read my Bible a completely different way. Forces me to just like commune with God more frequently and also in a different way. And then also like just friends being like, oh, let's go to a worship night. Like how many worship nights have we got? I wasn't doing that before. I was in worship night. Like sure, I guess. But like now it's like that's part of my life. Like conferences, like these things that I just never sought out before to strengthen my relationship with God. I'm like now I'm like now I'm looking for them. I'm like, oh, when's the next one? Like, where can I go to be poured into? And so that's been a complete lifestyle change, I feel like, for me. Just like the constant seeking of God and like wanting to constantly be in the presence of the Lord is something that I never, not that I never saw it happening for myself, but definitely community has helped propel me towards that. And kept me there. Yeah.
That's so good. All such good points. I don't even think of anything that is no, because this is the reality of it. Like, it encourages you, but then it also propels you forward. No, this is not going to be controversial, but so when maybe this is like season 2, but like when you think about like marriage, right? You think about marriage and relationships.
Let me stop.
Okay.
Turn the camera.
It's okay. Go ahead. I'm ready.
When you think of like kingdom marriages, people who like actually, I'm not gonna say actually are in them because we don't know. Yeah, let me guard my words right now. The purpose, or one of the purposes for kingdom marriage is to help you fulfill the purpose that God has called you to be in, to walk in, right? And that's how people begin messed up, for real. You marry the wrong person, for real, because marriage, after making Jesus Christ your Lord and Savior, is the most important decision you're going to make, for real, because of how that can affect your life, the trajectory of your life. And so it's like relationships like marriage are used to help you propel forward in your purpose and your calling, right? Your partner's supposed to help you do that, right? And vice versa. And so when I think about kingdom relationships in general, right, not just marriage, it's like that's what it's also supposed to do,
Yeah.
right? It's supposed to propel you forward into what God's called you to do. It's also supposed to encourage you to keep moving in that way, you know? And so it's like community in that aspect as well. Like when honestly, I feel like for me, when I started looking at community as like, not just friendships, but like these are people God has ordained to pour into my life, because without them, I cannot do what God has called me to do. It's changed a lot of things for me, right? And again, it's like, careful who I like, inner circle, outer circle, behind the veil, right? People. And it's like, who speaks into my life for real? Who is in the know for like different areas of my life? Because honestly, you tell the wrong person and you don't know what their heart posture is like and what their spirit is like. Next thing you know, things are being blocked and canceled, right? And it's because the discernment was off or something, and you just, you know, you told the wrong person per se. But it's like, you meet the right person, right? And for my life right now, it's Maddie, right? I meet the right person. The things God's called me to do 5 years ago are coming to life in the best way. And it's just the beginning, right? And so it's like, I really had to like change my mindset on community and like really take it serious. Because it's not games. I think there's a lot of things in life that are deeper than what we make it. And community is one of those for me.
Hearing you say that reminded me of Proverbs 13:20, and it says, "Walk with the wise and become wise. For a companion of fools suffers harm." And so that alone is like, don't be around people who are cut up. You know, you're gonna cut up because you will cut up.
And don't think you won't.
Yes, 1 + 1.
It's very serious. Like, we need to deep some of these things, you know?
Right.
But yeah, that's a good wrap up. Okay. Walk with the wise, baby.
Yeah.
And you finna be wise. Period.
Wisdom.
Love that. Okay? Oh my days. So with wrapping up, Ken, I'm gonna ask you to look into the camera and advise someone who, I guess, grew up in community, isn't ready to step in, or from something relatable that you can speak from. Like, what do you think someone needs to hear?
I think don't be afraid to ask God for community. Don't be afraid to pray for godly friendships. I think it's very important, and the sooner that you reach out and you do it scared, the faster community will come to you. The Lord knows what you need before you even ask it. So I think even starting out with asking Him before you even make that step, He will place you where you belong. He will place you where He can be glorified the most. And community has just opened my eyes to so many things and helped my relationship grow. So I think do it anyways. Don't be afraid to try a new group, and if you don't like it, find another one. It doesn't have to be for you, but community is important for growth in your life and growth in your relationship with God. So just do it.
Just do it.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Damaris.
Kennedy.
That's fine.
I was also, no, I'm not even kidding. I wrote, do it scared. Okay, so. But yes, to echo what Kennedy said, literally just do it. 9 times out of 10, like from our experience, I think you've heard, like, everyone is looking for community. Everyone wants someone who they can relate to, connect with. So the chances of you finding someone who is in the same exact boat as you is very high. So just step out in faith, do it. Like Ken said, like the first person doesn't have to be your best friend.
Right.
I think that's another thing. Like, we think that the first person, that's going to be the person. It doesn't have to be. It takes time. And eventually you will find that person who you connect with, who you can build with, who you can sit on a couch and laugh with.
Yes.
But yeah, the step is doing it. Because if you continue to hold back, you'll never get to where you need to be. So.
Such good words. I definitely needed that when I was younger. I'm glad that, we have it now.
And older.
Okay, and older. Okay. It, honestly, it doesn't matter how old you are. Find community.
Yes.
Get into it. Do it scared, like they were saying. But that is it. That is a wrap on season 1 of A Rose in Bloom. Thank you so much for joining in and tuning in this far. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. YouTube and all audio streaming platforms. And remember to continue blooming to those God has already called you to be. And stay tuned for season 2.